Hello everyone and welcome to our extravagant tulip tour. That's kind of hard to say 3 times fast. Anyway, a lot of you guys requested that I do this kind of tour of all the different tulip varieties that I grew this season. I do apologize for the filmography. I don't know if that's videography. I was having a lot of trouble with my camera and with the backgrounds and the weather. It was just not a good a good equation for filming this video, but I did try to do my best, so I appreciate your kindness, of course, and your support. We grew a lot of tulips. We kind of had ourselves a little miniature kind of tulip trial here in the garden, just small quantities of a lot of different types. Trying to get, doubles and parrots and even a few single varieties of tulip, even though I haven't really ever been a fan of many of the single varieties. But I was really, really looking to find some of my new favorites that I can grow in the future. So to get started, we have this first one. This is a parrot tulip. This one is called the Cabanna Parrot Tulip. All the pictures that I saw online were kind of a greenish color, greenish white with little hints of pink. And as you can see, mine just burst open immediately in the garden on the first warm day. And rather than kind of being a pale pink, mine had much more kind of dominant tones of pink on it, which I think are very, very pretty. Ideally, I would have liked to have caught this one before it opened completely like this. The next one we have is Akebono, or I'm not quite sure how to say a lot of these, so I do apologize in advance. This was just a very bright, beautiful, kind of bold yellow color. Over time, it seemed like the yellow faded to more of a cream color, but what's interesting is it has this beautiful kind of red edging and little bits of green to accent the flower that I think offer a really, really nice contrast to just, in comparison to a simple kind of plain yellow. They also went really well with our ranunculus, which I really liked. They were the earliest double flower here in my garden. I usually don't plant many early doubles, but this was very nice. Had a nice stem length as well, and the flowers stood up in a vase for a very, very long time. So very, very pleased with the addition of this flower in the garden. Moving right along to our next tulip variety that we have. This one is called Drumline. Now, this is the first time that I've ever grown drumline, but it is definitely no stranger to me. I think I've probably seen drumline being grown on the internet and social media about a bajillion times, and rightfully so, because you can see it actually is very, very pretty. We have these very full, very fluffy double flowers. The inner bits there are kind of this kind of reddish pink color. I wouldn't exactly call it pink, but I wouldn't call it red. It's just a nice in-between color. It's pretty true to what you're seeing here on the screen. And those outer bits, the petals, have a beautiful white edge that just make it like kind of frosted looking. The stamens in there are black, but I didn't notice any kind of shedding of the black pollen or anything to make a mess. Just a very, very pretty flower. Unfortunately, I didn't notice any kind of fragrance either. A lot of these are fragrant. I know people don't always think of tulips as, a fragrant flower, but some varieties definitely have a beautiful fragrance. I will do my best in this video to mention that whenever I encounter it. I believe this one is Foxtrot. I did not order Foxtrot, so I have no clue where this one even came from. The main reason I think it is Foxtrot or Foxy Foxtrot, I get those two confused. One's peach, one's pink. Anyway, they are just nice and short and very early. I have grown Foxtrot in the past, so that's what I think this is. I mean, it's a nice addition. You can use it in little tiny vases, like little jam jars or something. But for whatever reason, it is always very, very short here in my growing zone. I'm definitely not gonna complain about it though. You can see it opens up a very white pastel pink color, and over time it gets aggressively more and more pink by the time I pick them for this flower shot right here that you see. They are very, very pink, and that green center is very prominent and pretty. Next, we have this very pretty white tulip. This variety is actually called Canton Candy. I really wanted to explore other white tulips. In the past, I have grown Mount Tacoma, and I love Mount Tacoma, don't get me wrong. But I wanted to try something a little bit different. You can see these are a very pure, pretty white, and they have a little bit of a yellow tint at the bottom of them and around the outside petals. But what I liked most about these Canton Candy tulips is that they remained that cup shape rather than Mount Tacoma, how it kind of blows open. These remained a tight cup even if I let them, you know, open up in the garden completely. They were more of a compact flower, which I thought was really, really nice for cut flower arrangements. So in the future, maybe I would buy both of them because, I mean, Mount Tacoma has a lot of really good qualities too. It's fragrant. It's one of the fragrant tulips that I really love. Next, we have another parrot tulip. Now, this was sold to me in a mix called the San Fran mix, and as it would turn out, San Fran mix in this case just meant, you know, pink parrot tulip. This looks like the just regular apricot parrot tulip is what I want to say is usually the name that this one goes by. As you can see, it's more of a pinky peachy color depending upon the sunlight. The inner bits, the inner petals are a little bit more orange. It just changes depending upon the lighting. I've always really liked this parrot tulip just because the petals are so rugged and ruffly looking, like feathers, so feathered looking, and there's that bit of green on the outside that I think makes it very, very pretty. I just wish it would have been a legitimate mix rather than just, you know, one color. Next we have another parrot tulip that I thought was totally interesting that I ordered. This one is called the Rasta parrot. As you can see, unfortunately, it was pretty short and remained pretty short throughout its duration in my garden. I even let them open up as much as possible to see if the height would change. These are very, very colorful. If you are looking for a flower to make a statement and be like, hello, I'm right here, then this might be a good option for you. You can see they are just this very interesting shade of kind of a burgundy and a brighter red and a yellow. They definitely did not blend in with all of the different pink colors that I planted, that's for sure. So, I'm not sure I would grow Rasta parrot again, but then again, it's so different and unlike anything that I have ever seen. Maybe I would grow it again. Next, we have Exotic Emperor. These were originally labeled in a bag called Green Wave, and that was incorrect for sure. I'm fairly certain this is Exotic Emperor because I've grown it before in the past. It's got those very interesting kind of green petals that stick up, and when they open, rather than being kind of fully double and cupped, we have this more of a, I don't know, a star shape, I guess I would consider it. These opened very, very fast in my garden. In fact, I completely missed the harvest window for these, ideal harvest window for these. So I just let them open up and enjoy them in my yard. And of course, take a quick film of these so that you guys can take a look at them too. They're very beautiful white, and they have a very prominent bit of yellow in the center with that green. That is very, very pretty. I think it gives a lot of dimension to it, especially when mixed with other flowers, different flowers like maybe some ranunculus, or I bet some daffodils. I feel like some daffodils would look really, really gorgeous with this flower. Next one we actually have a single tulip, there aren't very many single tulips in this video. I'm not really a single tulip fan, but this one is called Blushing Lady, and it is hands down one of my favorites of the entire season. Actually, this is a lily flowered tulip, which is one of the reasons that I bought it, because it was something different. I've never grown any lily flowered tulips before, but it is a very, very pretty yellow. But as you can see, there is this pink peach blush that goes up each petal that is absolutely enchanting. It is so soft and so delicate and so feminine looking, if a flower can be feminine. I don't know. But and those cups are just so stinking cute. Look, they're kind of ruffled, they're kind of frilly, they have the lily shape. Oh, I love it. This is definitely going to be on my grow it again list. Next we have one called La Vie. La Vie was weird. Okay, I grew it last year. I had a completely different result. I bought it from the same place. This year I grew it again, and it's a completely different flower than I grew last year. I'm not complaining either, because this flower is gorgeous. Look at the different colors with the pink and the peach, and there's a little bit of a kind of like a salmon coral color. But spoiler alert, the stem length on this, they were terrible. They were probably 6 inches tall altogether, and I barely could put them in a little jam jar to show you guys the flower. So I'm really torn. The first time I grew them, it was a completely different flower. This time I got another different flower, so I don't know who's actually the real one anyway. I don't know. Next we have one called Normandie. This came from the same supplier as La Vie, and these Normandies are not vigorous. I've grown them twice, and both times they have not been vigorous at all. These were about 10 inches tall. They were a little bit taller. They opened up yellow, but as they opened more and more, they turned white, and they started to get this interesting purple markings, which I really, really love. So here I am. Again, I'm torn. Maybe my bulb supplier for these two was just bad, because the markings on this are absolutely stunning. If I just look at the Normandie tulip and just take it at face value for what the blooms actually look like, I 100% want to grow this one again. Next up, we have another one that is not new to me, but I figured we'd grow it again and take some pictures. We have the Dream Touch tulip. The Dream Touch is very, very pretty. It borders on a mixture between a very dark red, like burgundy color, and purple. So the color that you see here in the video is actually pretty true. It's kind of like a wine color, I guess, if I had to describe it. It's very pretty wine color, but it's edged with the just faintest bit of white that makes it kind of this two-dimensional, three-dimensional, I don't know. It gives it a lot of depth is what I'm trying to say. As you can see in the pictures that I have here, with it fully open, we have those black stamens and that kind of yellowish center that also makes it, I think, very, very appealing. This was always one of the favorite ones for donations anyway. The vase life on these is absolutely incredible. Even when I pick them when they're fully open like this, the vase life is incredible. Next, we have another one called Blue Diamond. This one was planted next to the Dream Touch, and I actually really liked how they look together. Blue Diamond, obviously, I would not consider it blue, but so often when we have purple flowers, we call them blue in gardening for some reason. Maybe you guys can tell me why. Either way, it's a very, very nice addition to the garden. This is actually the first time that I've ever grown Blue Diamond, and most of these pictures I think in this video are pretty true to color, because I know purples and kind of blues and reds can be a little bit difficult to film sometimes. The stems were a little bit shorter on these, which was, it was fine. It was manageable. They do look a lot shorter just because they're right next to the Dream Touch, but I would definitely grow these again. Next up, we have everyone's favorite flower, the hardest to get tulip out there, I guess. We have La Belle Époque. Last year, I grew La Belle Époque probably for the second time, and I was still kind of on the fence about it. Like, yeah, it's fine, but I'm not, losing my mind over it. And I really have come to appreciate why so many people like these so much. In the sunshine, they are just such a beautiful peach. Around the outside petals, there's such a pretty kind of mauve tone. And the deeper, darker centers. These things, they're gorgeous. I'll just go ahead and say it. I know I'm always the person who wants to resist what's popular and like, no, do what you want and all that. But I gotta say it, these are really, really pretty. And they only become more and more and more pretty the longer you leave them in the garden. You pick them early, of course, for cut flowers, but if you leave them in the garden, they also just become softer and softer and more delicate looking, and the color fades a little bit. They're a stunner. I hate to admit it. Anyway, so I made sure to take gratuitous amounts of footage for this section of the video, just because I know so many people love these things, and I can see why. Next year, I'd love to grow them again. Next up, we have Charming Beauty. This is the second time that I've grown Charming Beauty. I grew this tulip a few years ago in the past. Well, of course it was in the past, but a few years ago. And the stems are really short then, and unfortunately I had the same experience with it this time around. The stems were pretty short. Not too bad. They were manageable. I could use them for cut flowers, but they were much shorter than other varieties. You can tell, though, the colors are beautiful. They start out this kind of yellow color, and as they get older, they get peachier and peachier with these kind of streaks of pink and orange, and they really are stunning. Mine, it seems like in the past they had a fragrance, but this time around I didn't notice any, so I'm not quite sure about that. Next up, we have this really, really pretty white flower that's just totally new to me. Now, this one, this was another just what I would consider a blind buy, where I have no idea what it's going to look like, and I just, roll the dice, see if we like it. I really like this one. This is a double cream. It starts out cream, but those petals are so fluffy and double. These easily look like peonies. They are amazing. And the center's got a little bit more yellow color, so we have this beautiful cream bloom with a little more yellow. And if you zoom in there though, the older these flowers get, you can see a little bit of kind of pink splotching and pink veining kind of start to develop on those petals, like antique pink looking. Such a shocker. Easily in my top 10 this year. Next, we have this beautiful purple, very similar to the blue diamond that we already showed you rather, but this one was blooming a little bit later, and this one was a little bit of a deeper purple, a little kind of more true purple is what I would consider it. And we had a little bit of extra kind of darker purple around the edges of each petal that made this extra gorgeous. Unfortunately, a lot of these flowers during this part of the video had been rained on for like 5 days straight, so they're open quite a bit and they're not looking their best, so I do apologize for that. We have another one that was very hard to film. In this one, this was a mix, and it was just a mix of the brightest reds and a little bit of orange and of course yellows as well, but a lot of these flowers were actually these very, very vibrant kind of striped looking things. Is there a word for this? Do you just call this variegated? Or picote? I don't know. Is there a word for this where it's got the crazy stripe patterns going on? Now, I can see why a lot of people would really, really like this variety of tulip. I personally I don't think it's for me. I've always, naturally kind of just avoided ordering red and bright yellow for some reason. It's not really my favorite. And these are beautiful. Don't get me wrong. They really are. It's just maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's something that I have to work on, and maybe I'm just going to keep growing more and more of these brightly colored blooms in the future, and eventually. This one was a mystery tulip. This had no label on it. I've scoured the internet to try to figure out what these are. They are a beautiful, soft, purple, lavender, mauve color. They resemble the Vie that I have in this bucket here, but they were in a completely different part of the garden. They never had any kind of orange, so they're not La Vie. Does anybody know what this tulip is? Please tell me, because it's beautiful. We also had Margarita, which is this pink one. Unfortunately, those got destroyed in a thunderstorm before I could fully film them, but I did get a few little clips right here. It's just a beautiful bright pink color. By this time, I was feeling mega overwhelmed by how quickly everything was blooming and how fast I needed to, kind of pick things and harvest things. Plus, it was raining. Then we had these very, very beautiful parrot tulips open up. These are the Dee Jay, 2 words for some reason, parrot tulip. These are a little bit different than some of the other parrot tulips that we've seen. You can see the petals, they're not as frilly or fringed or parrot looking, I guess. They're a little kind of just calmer. So it might be a good choice for somebody who kind of likes parrots but not sure if they like, the ruffly ones. Also, the colors are very, very vibrant. Mine were just a very bright red. You see them in comparison with the other red flowers there, with a lot of yellow, with especially a lot of yellow edging. So if you're looking for something vibrant, definitely a good choice. The stem length was amazing. The stems were strong. They held the flowers up very, very high. Just a lot of very good characteristics. Next, we have Belicia. I guess that's how you say that. I'm sorry if it's not. Very pretty. Not new to me, but definitely grew it in larger quantities than I have before in the past, and I really love this one. It opens up. It's kind of like Normandie, and then it opens up a little bit yellow and then fades to white. And we have those absolutely gorgeous pink markings this time. Rather than the purple markings, we have these beautiful pink markings with a bright yellow center. I cannot get enough of these. They are so elegant looking and just by themselves look so great. Also, I noticed a little bit of fragrance with mine. Not super fragrant, but definitely a little bit of fragrance going on there. Definitely would grow this one again. I would add this one, I think, to my top 10 favorite list for sure. Another one that is in my top 10 favorite tulip list are these. These are Mango Charm. Now, these are a single tulip. They are supposed to be like orangey, pastel orange, mango colored, and surprise, surprise, mine are like pink. But that's fine, because actually I have been looking for the perfect pastel pink here in my yard. It seems like things are never what they're supposed to be. So this one actually turned out to be like a happy surprise, because you can see there's a little bit of mango color there, and the tips, little edges there, kind of yellow peachy color. But these pink ones are perfect. They are perfect. I love them. Pastel pink. Beautiful. Next we have another parrot tulip. This is just called White Parrot. It was a little bit short. You can see it compared to the weeds. It was even a little bit short. They were less parrot than I would have liked, but they were pretty still. I think I will continue to search for a different white parrot tulip if there is one. I don't know. But it was fine. It was usable. It was usable in arrangements. Next we have another one of my favorites. This one is called Top Lips. And very different, very similar to Drumline, and another one that we'll see here in a second. But and a few off types with like really cool veining too, which I thought that was neat. I shows this one a lot in the video. But a very pretty pink at the base with a little white coloring and cool variegated foliage. Do you see that foliage? Like with the green, lighter green margins. Very cool. Was a little bit short, unfortunately, but I could use it in smaller vases and smaller kind of jam jars and everything. Next, we have one called Doll's Minuet, I guess is how you say it. This is another kind of lily flowered tulip, I guess, which is very, very different than what I usually select when I grow tulips. So definitely wanted to do something different. And it is different. It's very cool. I was actually really surprised by how much I liked these lily tulips. Next, we have a mix called Sunlover. I guess it's considered a mix. This is a mix of oranges and reds. Again, I tried my best to film these, but some of these colors can look a little bit harsh. Lots of kind of striping and different colorings going on there. Another one that's very, very bright if you're looking for something that it will truly just shine out in the garden. These were rained on quite a bit, unfortunately, so they're not the best looking. I do apologize for that. I did try. Next, we have one called Purple Dance. This is another of the lily flower tulips, and this one was really cool too. I think I like this one better than the other one because it opened up a very pretty purple color, but as you can see, there was lots of green in the center, and that green kind of gave it an extra bit of oomph in terms of like grabbing people's attention in the garden and stuff. So I think I would definitely grow this one again. I would definitely like to explore more of the lily flowered tulips. I didn't think I would like them as much as I do. Next, we have another one called Bowl of Beauty, and this one really got rained on hard, so you know, don't judge it by its stems. This is a beautiful cream color tulip, which I haven't seen many cream colored double tulips like this shade of cream. It's much creamier and softer than the Akebono. Back to some of the red tulips that we have. This one is called Miranda. You know, again, not one of my favorites just because I'm not really into red flowers that much, but a very, very solid choice. Very double, very strong, very tall, just a very solid choice for a red tulip if you're looking for a double red tulip. Next, we have another one of my absolute favorites, top 10 easily. This one is Columbus. I just love Columbus tulips. They are so big. They are so fluffy. The height is always really, really good. They consistently open at the same time. No fragrance that I've noticed, but the color is insane. When they open up, they have a little bit of peach, kind of creamy tones, and when they're fully open, they have this beautiful white exterior, and the pink inner portion is stunning. So many good things to say, and they looked so pretty when I paired them with Mango Charm. Next, we have Apricot Foxx. This is a single one that I grew because I was trying to find a beautiful pastel pink peach color in single tulips, and it was totally not what I wanted. It's fine, it's pretty, but it's not the peach pink color that they show on the internet, you know, in the catalog. But they were nice and strong. The stems were tall. They're good for cut flowers. I don't think I would personally order them again, but I can definitely see their merit. Okay, this next parrot tulip, this red one that we're looking at here, this thing was a monster. I don't know if this was just the exception, but this thing was huge. This was the biggest parrot tulip that I have ever grown. This is the biggest tulip that I have grown ever. You can see they have the parrot petals that are kind of feathery, but they're enormous. Like they were like twice, they were like almost the size of my head. I wish I could explain how big. And it's not because I let them open too much. It was like they immediately opened and they were immediately just out of control. Even putting them in this bucket to take the picture was difficult because they wanted to tip the bucket over and hang out of the bucket. These are very, very beautiful in their own right. They have great coloring. The coloring is kind of like a peach. So we have Black Hero. This is another one that was past its prime by the time I was able to pick it, so I do apologize for that. Very, very gorgeous, deep, dark, alluring, beautiful, mysterious purple color. Darker centers with that little bit of white bursting out once it's fully open. Excellent stem length, strong stems. Everything just looked so, so good. Definitely want to grow more of these in the future. We also had Black Parrot, which was insane. One of my favorites, probably going into the top 10. That very, very dark purple, that same dark color. These are obviously way too open past their prime just because of the rain. But I love the feathery petals. I love it when parrot tulips have those very, very feathered petals like that. It's just so pretty. I just love the texture so much. The next flower we have is called Matchpoint. Matchpoint is a very, very beautiful double fringed tulip. It's in this beautiful shade of pink, almost kind of like a watermelon pink, and those black stamens in there remind me of watermelon seeds. I don't know, for whatever reason, it just reminds me of watermelons whenever I look at this flower. I'm usually not a fan of fringed tulips, I'll be totally honest, but this one I was really feeling it. I was really digging it. The stems were a little bit on the shorter side, and it seems in my experience in my garden, almost always fringed double tulips have short stems. I don't know if it's genetic or what's going on there, but the stems were usable for cut flower arrangements. We also had Queensland, which was nice enough. This was my second attempt at growing Queensland, and it's just too short for me. I don't know if it's, like I said, I don't know if it's just the way it is or if it's my yard. It was very pretty with the shades of pink. Kind of like Columbus, but with fringed petals on the outside of it. But I'm just not sure if I would do it again, unfortunately. Very nice to look at, though. I enjoyed having them in the garden this year. This one is called Chinatown. This is one of the ones that you guys were really interested in whenever I showed these in the garden updates. It's very interesting. It has that beautiful variegated foliage. I've seen a lot of pretty pictures of these with kind of white blooms with kind of pink accents. Unfortunately, the blooms in my garden were not very consistent. In fact, the pinkish color just was everywhere. Some of them were blush, some of them were darker, and some of them didn't even open. Moving right along to more of the double tulips, though. These are the Copper Image double tulips. Copper Image has always been one of my favorites. When I first grew it, I wasn't sure if I liked it, but the more and more I saw it, I really, really loved this kind of subtle coral peachy color, and I always loved how tight the flowers remain. In that mix, we also have the Amazing Grace tulip, which is another one of my absolute favorites. It's very similar to that Matchpoint one that we already saw, but it is more of a kind of darker pink. We have those dark, stamens in the middle. Very, very pretty. Very much like a peony, which is so lovely, especially kind of later in the season when we're mixing them with ranunculus and things like that. Next, we have an Amazing Parrot Tulip, and that's literally what it's called. It's called Amazing Parrot Tulip. I tried to get pictures in different lighting so that you guys could see it, the color best. Very, very fringed, very, very pretty, and the color is this beautiful kind of bubblegum pink. And the bright orange, though, the bright orange is so cool. It is such a pretty accent to this. Hands down one of my favorite, making my top 10 for sure. I definitely want to grow this one again in the future. We also had Snow Crystal. Unfortunately, Snow Crystal did not perform very well here in my yard. This is as much as they opened. They opened very, very minimally, and then they ended up getting snowed on. So unfortunately, I don't have any kind of post-harvest pictures of this one because they soon turned a mushy brown after they got snowed on, which was unfortunate. Here is Green Wave. This one was another kind of, failure. Some of them opened and looked like this, and most of them just stayed closed the whole time. A couple of them had that kind of pink kind of coloration that we really wanted. You know, opened up a little bit of pink, a little bit of green, very unique and very interesting, but most of them just stayed shut like this for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks until they started to wither away. You know, that's fine. They have an interesting bit of texture, but maybe just not for my garden. Next, we have this very pretty deep dark maroon burgundy color, which was very nice. Unfortunately, these also were snowed on, so I only had a few to take pictures of, and this was after the snow had passed. But very pretty, nice stem length as well. I'm not really a fan of that yellow in the center once they open up fully, but a nice addition to the garden. I think I would probably definitely consider growing these again for sure. Very nice, very double, very dark, really like that. Moving right along to other things we had one called Giant Peach. I had ordered this Giant Peach tulip because, you know, all the pictures that I had seen looked just like a very soft pastel, like a big, you know, a big kind of scoop type of flower. And here they are blooming. Surprise, surprise, they're bright orange. They don't look anything like the picture, unfortunately. They're just an orange tulip. We also have another one. This one is called Double Sugar. This one looks nothing like it was advertised. I guess it kind of does a little bit. It's just a very beautiful pink. Don't get me wrong, the pink color is very beautiful. The flowers are very double. They do get a little bit of a kind of whitish, interesting whitish coloration in the middle with the white and the pink. Next, we have a mixture. This was a mix between pink and yellow. This flower, this first one that we're going to talk about, is Renown Unique. I've grown Renown Unique in the past, and I'm always impressed with the stem length. These are among the latest flowers in my garden, you know, considering tulips. And the stems are always so incredibly long. They also stay closed quite a bit longer than some of the other varieties that I grow here. This is Glamour Unique. This was also in the mix, and this has all the same kind of characteristics as Renown Unique, except for in a yellow color with streaks of red, which again, we have that yellow and red combination, which isn't really my favorite combination out there, but very beautiful. I think I would definitely consider growing this one again just because it has so many good just good characteristics when it comes to use as a cut flower. So I definitely think I would put that one on my grow again list. The next flower that we have, and I think getting very close to the end here, so we're almost there. I know this video is kind of a long one. This one is called Cummins. This is a fringed tulip. I know I didn't have very many fringed tulips here in the yard. Hopefully I can expand on that in the future, but I was really excited to grow this one. It has just those beautiful deep dark outer petals and that deep dark center, kind of whitish tips, and of course that beautiful white fringe. I always think fringe tulips are so interesting. They look like kind of frayed out blue jeans or something like that. I don't know. But this one, the way the color is on this one, I really liked it. And surprisingly, the color on this one made it very easy to work with and kind of work into cut flower arrangements, which is always something that I've had a little bit of trouble with in the past. That's it. Unfortunately, we did have a few other varieties of tulips in the garden, but unfortunately, our late season snow, I mean, late April, 1 inch of snow, the late season snow did cause a few of those varieties to break and turn to mush, and we lost them. So hopefully I can try some of those again next year, and we can have an even bigger full tour of the tulips. And that's about it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I am so appreciative. I really am. As always, be sure to leave a comment down below. I love to know what you guys think. Was it helpful? What experiences do you have? I'm always learning from the comments, which I really love. As always, if you're not a subscriber and you like this video, be sure to hit the little subscribe button, hit the little bell. The bell tells you whenever we make new videos. It's a great way to keep up with the channel and grow just our little gardening community here. As always, all the links to everything is down in the description below. Our link to Patreon and our YouTube memberships is there. It helps support the channel. It helps me pay for things like blog fees, and occasionally I get help with editing, which is really helpful because let's face it, I am not the most tech savvy person on the planet. But I am trying to keep learning and keep making our videos better. There's also a link to the blog. Oftentimes you can check out the blog and there will be more information and more pictures about the thing that I've talked about in the video, just because sometimes it helps for me to write down that information and kind of organize it much better. As always, feel free to share this video with a friend. It helps us so much when we grow the channel. I hope that you're having such an incredible day, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye, guys.